At first, I thought Avalon Malibu was a very good program, but some problems came up. I think it also, like, a big contributing factor was taking a medicine, Gabapentin, which I tried to warn the doctor about beforehand of like these types of issues. I tried to say I come off of things very badly, very poorly, get rebound effects very quickly, I can't become tolerant to things like rapidly. I didn't get that problem with benzos. I told her about my problems with coming off of benzos, like how becoming hypervigilant coming off of them, and at one point like led to excessive drinking, which now I can like take or leave alcohol anyway. But yeah, and that led to like to the point where I couldn't have any drink or food that wasn't in a package, and I couldn't leave it unattended. I couldn't even leave cigarettes unattended, and if it did, like I couldn't drink from that same drink again. I couldn't eat that same food again. I couldn't smoke from that same pack again. And because of this, I was like getting rebound effects, feeling sick, and thinking like someone was giving me something to make me sick. So that was at one of the other places I was at, Ellenhorn. But yeah, so like for the medication, what it was doing was like making me feel kind of like sedated, numb, a little bit stoned. And because of that, like I thought it was a little bit good, even though it was a little bit depressing, a little bit lackluster. The reason for that was I just thought, like, was thinking suicidal things all the time, but I was like so apathetic that I could just like kind of like push them away and bother me. And same with like feeling like some of the staff was being like covertly hostile towards me, or like passive aggressive towards me, or like judging me, kind of looking at me weird. But like I did get on well with like the clients and stuff, and like some of the people who worked there were very nice as well. Like someone like David who worked there was very good. Also like someone named Izzy was very good. But like, and then problems with like sometimes like the therapist, like she did some helpful things like tapping as well for like to manage stress, but at the same time I did feel like a lot of the times therapy wasn't productive and it wasn't a good match. And like then when I would go in, I would just like kind of feel like sometimes it's like just going through the motions, going through like a checklist, this and this, how's your suicidality. And like another problem as well was like hero worshiping the doctor. So like I didn't feel like she was being very objective or it was very helpful to me. And then at the end, when I was like having rebound effects, whatever, feeling like it was coming to a weekend as well, really stressed out, and like I couldn't feel comfortable saying like my suicidality was way up high and thinking I can't trust anyone. It's like so overwhelmed and so stressed out as well. And like the owner of the place was just like very grandiose and like threatening me and just like really weird, and like always removing us from groups that were helpful to just talk about nonsense and just stuff I didn't care about. And then like and I think like at the end, from not listening to the doctor, that was why the therapist, like she had said Carla. She said she would be available to us. She just kind of didn't didn't contact us or anything. At least like the doctor was communicative, but like there was one therapist who was even more helpful than she was, and I like just like barely talked to this therapist, Jen, and I was actually trying to go to like talk to her before I left, but at the same time she was like, it was like coming to a weekend, and I saw on the board she wasn't there, but like yeah, so she was just a lot better at communicating, I feel like, in adapting, taking in information. Yeah, so like asking questions about like what you're thinking about, versus like in therapy with Carla, she never did that stuff. She never like gave advice on like, oh yeah, if you're feeling this way and stuff, you should like think about it this way, but she never actually did that type of stuff as well. It was just like a lot of confirmation biases, and I feel like an inability to like take in information, and then the hero worshiping, and I think she got all kind of like in a way about that with the doctor, and it's like, I don't need a fan club for a doctor as well. That's not gonna be helpful to me. But yeah, so yeah, definitely that's a problem with like doctors. Even if they're more humble than like they usually are, they get like kind of like confirmation bias, and they don't listen to you. And as well, like I tried to tell her before about that medication, like that's saying like maybe I should get off of this, I'm getting rebound effects, and she's like, no, you just need a higher dose. But at the same time, it was like, but then all of a sudden she like was like taking away a dose, and I told her I come off of things very, very badly. And at the same time, after that too, it was like tremendously more hard to communicate, which is part of why like I didn't have any ill will towards Carla at the time, but I was feeling like really stressed out, and like her talking to me as well was like really overwhelming me. But so I was about to just try to talk to Jen for a bit, to be like telling her, and like, and if she's had said, oh well, like different things, like if maybe she was running group then, if she's like, oh, if you talk to Carla about that, I'd be like, no, she's really overwhelming me at the moment, and it's very counterproductive to talk to her right now, because she just kept like coming, like I would say like I need space, she'd come back and be like, oh well, do you want to talk, like how are we doing, or like just like overwhelming to me, and it was counterproductive. And just the way Jen communicated was more receptive, I thought, and being like Carla as well was not like picking up on how I was doing, and it was also harder to communicate then with her. But she just kept yeah, the way she was communicating was very overwhelming to me at the time, and I was like trying to politely say I needed space, but she wasn't listening to me. And yeah, so that's what I just said. I was like, no, I can't handle talking to her right now. It's like really overwhelming me.